The Ease of Doing Business Index ranks countries against each other based on how the regulatory environment is conducive to business operations, and economies with a high rank of about 1 to 20 have simpler and more friendly regulations for businesses. A 2020 report and rating ranks Nigeria to be on the on number 131 of about 190 economies the world over, and ever since then there have been efforts by government to record an upward review and growth from the last outing. Well, this morning we will deviate a bit from the usual politics and security issues that we had on the front burner on the program for a while now. We were talking economy today on Public Square, and I say welcome for joining us on the show this week. My name is Olabisi, Olaniyi, Oluwasegun, and I have my studio guest in the house already, Professor Bamuyi Tomola. He is a Professor of Finance and Entrepreneurship in FUTA and currently the Director of University Advancement Center. Thank you for coming, Prof.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, I also have Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye, a financial expert, right here with me in the studio. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay, quickly, we don't want to dwell on the intricacies like the numbers and figures that we have on paper. We want to talk about the realities facing Nigeria economic-wise, and of course some of the possible solutions to have a better environment. Because first of all, let's talk about the rating Nigeria had in 2020. A World Bank rating had Nigeria on number 131 of 190 economies, as I said earlier, and a lot of Nigerians reacted to this as not reflecting the economic realities on ground. I think that was the last rating we had. Let me start with Professor Tomola. How would you react to this? Does this rating reflect the economic reality of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. The first thing we need to know is what are the things that are captured there and what are those things that are not captured. So if you look at the things that are captured and those that are not captured, then you will know that it may not reflect the true situation of the economy. For example, the issue of poverty is not covered, the issue of corruption not covered, and some other regulatory regulations are not covered. So to me, I'm not sure it has reflected the true situation. And also the problem of data collation also affect, because if you know what has happened recently, we have some countries agitating, and in fact the chief economist has said that there's going to be corrections because there were manipulations, especially for some countries, and that back to 5 years there are going to be corrections and due to the manipulations. So to me, it's not a true reflection of the economy.
Okay, Mr. Ogunleye, what's your view on that?
Yes, I agree with Prof in the sense that if you run a country that at best the ability to collect data and even the integrity of the data, if they are questionable, it will be very difficult, almost uncertain to give a precise opinion about a particular phenomenon observed. So on the basis of that, I think there is hardly anything anybody or rating anybody can give about Nigerian economy that will capture all the domestic activities that have to do with ease of doing business activities. So it couldn't have been holistic, it couldn't have been whole, it couldn't have been that thorough and represents the true reality of what is happening in our economy.
Okay, talking about it being holistic, there was a report that also said that Lagos and Kano were actually the two major cities that were used as to form the empirical formula in collating the reports for that rating. Yes. And now a lot of people believe that businesses in Nigeria at the moment, apart from what the ease of doing business has to offer, is not really what it should be. It's not where it should be. There are a lot of challenges businesses in Nigeria are facing at the moment. As a financial expert that you are, Mr. Ogunleye, would you say that government is doing enough to ensure that MSMEs in the country experience the growth that it deserves?
Okay, there are two issues on the table here. The first is what government is doing. The other is external factors that may not make what the government intend to achieve to actually get the desired goals.
Okay.
What I mean is this. I will give you two examples of a client that I manage. The first one is into medium scale business. He's trying to graduate his mill from 10 tons to 20 tons. We got the necessary fund for him to expand his production line, though in the short run, we got that.
And of course, funding is one of the challenges.
Yes,
as well.
I said we got the required fund.
Okay.
Though in short run, I mean, the cost of capital, the coupon rate is in the short run, like I said, but indeed we got the fund. When we got the fund, we were able to migrate from 10 tons to 20 tons, for example. Shortly after that, there was this shortage of raw materials.
Okay.
It was not occasioned by government or its policy. It was some natural effects that the consequence had to inhibit the power or the source through which we could get those raw materials. So if you are talking about that, you couldn't have blamed that on the government, neither will you say we don't do our due diligence purely. So that, what I am saying is this. The government, of course, would roll out policies there that can make...
What about the place of regulation?
No, I'm coming.
Okay.
The government will put policies there that will make business, registration, getting papers, getting materials seamless. Okay? There are other natural effects. But when we come to the issue of regulation, you must not look away from the fact that we are Nigerians. We are whom we are. That is the truth. If the government says that if you apply for a particular document and it's supposed to take 14 days, if you don't get that 14 days, it is assumed that that thing has been approved. You only need to provide proof that you have met all the conditions, consequent upon approval of that particular license or certificate or whatever. You understand? So that is what the rule says. That is what the ease of business order passed by the Vice President signed in 2017 says. But the truth of the matter is that who are we in the public sector? Who are we in some of the institutions and MDAs that we will need to go to get all of this? So issue of regulation is something we will continue to battle with because of the kind of system that we have instituted as a nation. It's not going to go just like that. Okay. It's going to be gradual. Regulation is still very, very poor. I agree with you. And that is affecting business. And it's even affecting, you see, there's no way you do things within your system that will not filter to people outside the country. So if you are going out there to source maybe foreign investors in a particular technical area of our production line, you'll find out that one of the things they're going to, tell you they're going to exhibit is this their display about the way our bureaucracy, our system is run.
Yeah.
And because it is a whole lot of issues, there's little you can do to that. So you now need to begin to talk to people in the system, get letters from this person, get assurance from this person, bring edits, bring resolution of the house, so that you can convince them that, look, when you come, this particular area of manufacturing line has been streamlined. You have some protections, you have this and that. What about our legal system?
Okay. In sometime in 2016, the government inaugurated a committee, that's the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, which was saddled with the responsibility of removing bureaucratic constraints to doing business in Nigeria. Yeah. This seems good, it sounds good, and it sounds like government is making frantic efforts at making business more friendly in Nigeria. But would you say that there are practical efforts, not just propaganda, like you want to call them, not just policy statements? Are there practical efforts from government to ensure that especially small businesses in Nigeria are encouraged to stay in business and then to, grow into bigger enterprises?
Thank you very much. Just as Mr. Gule said, regulations is one thing, and the implementation of those regulations. So, talking about challenges, therefore, we're talking of human and natural factors, which he has also mentioned. Yes, apart from what the Vice President has done, and the other one, like the Finance Act and the CAMA, etc., all these just to make sure that we have a robust small business system. But you agree with me in that the encouragement, most of the time, government pay lip service to those things. So without really enforcing those regulations. Yes, it's true. If you have a business getting less than 25 million, you pay zero tax. If you have, yes, but how many of our small businesses are actually growing? Because that's the problem. So the challenge is, yes, Mr. Ogunlaye talked about funding. Yes, funding used to be the major thing, but now I don't know whether security has not taken the because before, because before you talk of funding now, you want to think whether you are secured or your business is secured, either you or your business or both of you. So those are the things. So the challenge is what government should address squarely before we talk about growing small and medium enterprises.
Okay, while I was going through the table, the rating in 2020 and some of the factors that were ruled out for that rating, security wasn't there, infrastructure was not there, and that brings to mind whether or not the World Bank should review factors that will be used in rating the ease of doing business across countries. How would you react to that?
I mentioned that it cannot be taken for serious because issue of corruption not included, security, poverty,
smuggling.
So these are not included. So then, if you're talking of growing business or talking of business environment, you must look at all these things in totality. So that is why I said the rating cannot be taken for serious.
You're a financial expert, and I'm sure you understand the workings of taxation in Nigeria. Yes. How would you rate Nigeria there was a time the government announced that it was trying to ensure that the issue of double taxation and multiple taxation was dealt with. How would you rate Nigeria at the moment in the area of taxation?
Yes, let me just briefly explain what our tax system looks like. Our tax system in Nigeria, I think, is of three shades. The first one is company income tax, which is paid to government by limited liability companies in Nigeria.
Okay.
They pay their company income tax to federal government through FIRS. You have that of personal income tax, which is paid to the State Board of Internal Revenue. Then you have value-added tax. Then other components, withholding tax, capital gain tax, stamp duties, act. All these ones, they are subsets of the three major classes of that tax. Okay. Petroleum product tax is on its own, separately. If we now look at the administration of taxes generally, you look at the law and the administration, you'll find out that Nigerian states, before now, we're still growing anyway, it's not a tax-run economy. If an economy is not a tax-run economy, there is little to which tax administration could achieve revenue generation motive of the government. If that's before now, we depend solely on revenue from oil. 85 or 90% of funds that we use to run the economy comes from oil. That is why the level of complacency of the Nigerian citizen is very, very low. So we are too complacent. We don't seem to agitate for enforcement of policies.
You mean level of compliance?
Yes, it's very low. If you come, for example, if they say when you submit social documents, when you meet social condition, you are entitled to get social in 14 days. If you don't get that, are you getting it? And instead of people to just bring up action, write letter, or commit the particular public officer in charge into making statement that we are not giving you this for social reason, or we don't just give you. All of us will continue to bypass the system, look for a way to bribe to get things done. So it makes implementation difficult in every nation of the world where you see policies grow, where you see public, policy achieving and attaining the intended objectives, the citizen must have rigorously agitated for same. So our tax system is still very, very, it's growing, but I can see it at a rate of 30-35%. For example, if our tax system is good, a public officer who wants to contest an election should bring relevant tax clearance that is not only up to date, that the taxes are paid as at when due. Somebody wants to run for an office in 2020, will go and pay for 3 years taxes in arrears in 2020. That person has not complied with the law. So in terms of administration of our tax system, we are not there yet. And it's of two folds, from the citizens and from the tax administrators. The citizens too, they don't appreciate the place of record keeping in business. So it becomes difficult for them to take advantage of tax management policies that can make them pay less legitimately and hand some windows of finances that government may advertise. If government says, if you have so-so company and you have suffered revenue losses in the last 3 years, 3 months of COVID, you have paid your workers even when they don't work, you have done well, you have been able to stimulate the economy, so come over, let us defray that 3 months. The government will ask for your tax clearance. Yes. They want to see evidence of compliance, filing and payment of your taxes. So many businesses may not have all of this, yet they operate within the system, within the small and medium scale entrepreneurship scheme that the government, they must have been captured as part of small and medium scale businesses that are in Nigeria. And when you capture like 200,000, 300,000, you find out that barely can you get 30 or 40,000 that can produce all the necessary documents that will make them assess this window of opportunity. So the business owners too must step up their record keeping system so that they will be able to file their records, get the benefit that they deserve from government. Every business that is not responsible to keeping record and paying taxes would equally lose the financial benefits that is within the official purview of financial system of a nation.
Talking about financial benefits, well, we hear a lot of that from government.
Okay.
A lot of portals are opened for people to apply for loans and grants.
Yes.
But are these really effective?
They are. People are.
Prof.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah. That's why, in fact, I wanted to cut in there. You say what he has said as the true situation. And but the irony is this: you hear government just have said saying we have a lot of money, and the small businesses
we have millions in grants and
saying we don't have money. So there's no situation bringing them together. Yes, there's a disconnect between the government and those people.
Okay.
Because you are asking them, we have billions of money available in central bank, in BOI, in everything, but the conditions are not accessible. So the funds are not accessible to those. So you see, that's disconnect is there until government is able to connect those people who want funds with the provider of funds.
Connecting those people who want funds with the provider of funds.
I think I have information in that.
How do we bridge that gap?
Thank you very much. We are bridging the gap. It's better than what it used to be. I can say that confidently. In the past, you meet stringent conditions that they are not stringent. They are usual official conditions
that are not obtainable here in Nigeria.
That any serious businessman should be able to meet. But because of the system that
is the government even serious in the first place?
The government is serious.
With it, are you sure?
I am sure. I have clients who have gotten theirs. Okay. I have people who have been able to package loan proposal for in BOI and they got their loans.
Okay.
They are there. You understand? But the problem, like I've said, is that before now, awareness about all of this was at a very low ebb. Okay. That's one. Two, businesses around do not. It will surprise you that I've had reasons to take up a client whose business is in 6 digits. You understand?
Okay.
No? 60. And such a business will find it difficult to even get the records of his debtors correctly. And if you need to access most of these facilities, if you want to get, let's say, maybe 2 million, 3 million, 1 million, of course, so many people could get that just at the provision of maybe a guarantor, and you fill their forms, you could get that 300,000, 200,000. Federal government is giving that. I think
the issue is that
the problem, if we now want to move beyond this street business, you want to do corporate business, you want to grow your business, you need facility of 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 million naira. Government is no Father Christmas. Then you need to do some certain things. They are not stringent, but they are purely financial and official.
I think the problem with government is this: the sincerity of purpose. Now you want to pump money to the economy, to grow the economy through small and medium, because that's the only way we can grow. Now you have these small businesses who did not understand the procedures. So if government is sincere,
because at the end of the day, most of these small,
you find a way of bringing them, helping them. You see, can help them.
That's why I said it's better now.
It's not a better comparison between now and then. We are
not there yet, but we'll continue to move from where we are to where we're supposed to be. Before it was poor. Now so many small business owners, they have been brought together. Give them tutorial. Some that we know that you can waive this because of our prevailing condition. They were waived and they got their money, 6 million, 10 million, 15 million, especially those in agri business. They are getting it. That is the truth. The figure may not meet our expectation yet, but if we move from 2 to 10, it's a leap movement. We can move from 10 to 50 because
there's so room for improvement.
You understand?
Okay.
So what I'm saying here is that there has been movement, there have been improvement.
I think the major problem with government is the issue of disbursement of funds. When government moving from market to give 10 million, 10,000, 20,000, because there's a way you motivate those people to do business. Those type of money cannot come back into business if you end up in consumption.
Okay, now let's talk about the rate of, we've been discussing about MSMEs in Nigeria, which happens to be the largest. When you talk of business,
it drives every
it drives exactly. So now, because government has probably not done enough in ensuring the growth of MSMEs in Nigeria, then we have this high rate of unemployment in the country. Prof, let's start with you. How do you think government can leverage MSMEs to bridge the gap that has been created in terms of creating employment opportunities in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I think the first thing is to make sure that these people we have, because majority of them are youths, to make sure that they have the 21st century critical skills.
Okay.
Most of them don't have the skills to do business.
That's it.
So it's difficult. So that's where government should invest heavily. And well, it's good that government has entrepreneurship education in higher institutions, but then government must do more, equip these graduates with that skills, and that is what they are needed. That needed to move the economy forward.
Okay, Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye, I'd like you to react to what Prof has said.
Yes, you see, we are in this country 5, 10, 20 years ago. When I talk, I look at this trajectory of movement, and I form my opinion based on what I can see over the years. If you agree with me, you would say that recently people are moving into different areas of businesses: farming, palm oil, snairy, piggery, poultry. The rate at which people are expanding, planting of cucumber, watermelon, and all of that, that could only come from some technical trainings that might have been organized by so many of these government agencies. Okay. I know in agriculture, I'm so certain about that. There was a particular one that I was a resource person that went and we taught some of the participants on how to develop a good business proposals. And we gave them a kind of template that they can use. that even on your own, you may not have the ability to input some technical details into it, but you should be able to express what you want to do, either in your language or in broken English. You should be able, but if you want to do it, these are the steps to follow. We did that. So most of these people, so many of them, I think I know about 3 in Joka Road that got 300,000. Today it's into this. It will take 2 weeks old chicken, bring them in, dry them when it's about 5 or 6 weeks, sell, and it's been turning in and out just like that. So there are some of them that are planting cucumber, and they are doing well. So we can only continue to ask every institution that is concerned to step up this kind of training. Look at other critical areas of economic activities, create a kind of training program that will be baked in such a way that the least person in the society who is vulnerable will be able to take advantage of it. Then our educational system too, we need to be practical about the way we train the mind. Emphasis should not be on certificate in the classroom alone. The mind should be trained. In most cases, one of my lecturers in those days would tell you that it is not coming to the class to pass that is the only issue. That the main issue here by education is that you must make it interactive. You must get the canon of what we are discussing here so that you form part of you. If we are able to do that, then so many of our graduates too will now become employable. I used to have one boy, he used to be lecturer in one of the schools in Nigeria. He will tell you that if he goes to a job interview as a kind of consultant, that he won't be placed interviewing a student and knowing fully well that he or she is not employable, that it will be the saddest day of his life, that he will do everything humanly possible to make sure that that does not happen. So all of us, we must work from our different callings to make sure that we bring what can improve the society.
Okay.
I think we are going employment to self-employment, because that is what can help the society.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Self-employment.
Well, a lot of people, we've been dwelling a bit more on funding as one of the factors for ease of doing business in Nigeria. Can we look at this issue of okay, just recently there was a report that I wouldn't want to mention names now. Okay. One of the big malls in Nigeria would be selling off the company to a Nigerian a business investor, and this has caused a lot of reaction in the public. I'm not sure if you heard of that report.
I heard of that.
Okay, now people are beginning to ask questions of it. This business has been in Nigeria for over 15 years, and now they are living based on the fact that business environment is not too friendly, according to the owners of that business. How would you think government should come in to ensure that businesses will not keep existing in Nigeria, and this will definitely affect the economy overall?
Two things. One, if you have a foreign business that has existed in Nigeria for close to 30-40 years, and the business is exiting now, that should not be the reason why we must be afraid. There are 1,001 business owners in Nigeria, Nigerian entrepreneurs that have made it outside the shore of this country that can handle bigger business than that.
But are you aware that the exit of this particular business would cause unemployment in the land?
I am coming. What I'm saying is that our fear should not be that they are leaving.
Okay.
Our fear should be the reason and the terms. Why are they leaving? What is the term? Are they leaving because they want to sell their business investment? They cannot be, that foreign investor cannot be the only person managing the business in Nigeria. There will be other directors who are Nigerians. There will be other directors who are non-Nigerians.
That's what I said. They're selling off the business to Nigerian investors. It's a foreign investment, actually.
I know the kind of business you're talking about. I don't want to mention. I won't. Good. Are they selling their business investment to Nigerians that they have been managing the business together in the past? And on what terms? And why are they selling it? You see, we must do beyond the sensationalization of this news. That's why I said we must philosophize the kind of country that we want. The people at the helm of affairs must be able to take charge. They must be able to take charge in such a way that when things like this are happening, they should be able to come to the table and explain. Our country, good. Any foreign direct investors now will be afraid because of security. because of the political tension in the land, because of the way the policy has been heated up to the extent that you can see visibly the disconnect, the disunity in the minds of an average Nigerian. It is obvious. We must not lie about this. And there is a way that will dovetail into business investment, either positively or negatively. We are witnessing the negative aspect of it now. For the news you have just broke, I mean, what we are discussing here. So, but
I didn't break the news.
No, I said what we are discussing. Yes, I have corrected myself. So, what we should be concerned more about, what our leaders should tell us, people in charge, especially the Minister for Trade and Investment, they should be able to tell us. There was a time that bank was recapitalized in this country. It recapitalized to 25 billion. Later, they were streamlined to 25. Then they were given BVN code so that bank use, when a banker from different banks sees your account number, he or she knows that particular bank immediately. So we all of us were saying, well, there's going to be job loss, so people will lose their job. Of course, indeed. But in terms of investment management, in terms of a sectoral analysis, you cannot say that Nigeria banking system now does not give rest of mind to investors. At least you are sure that if you keep your money with any of the banks, you are safe. And if in the event one of the banks mismanages its affairs, you have the deposit insurance there that will take care of you. That is the way to manage an economy. It's not going to grow overnight. It's going to be policy implementation, following up the proceed, and doing a kind of feedback analysis to know where you're going to go into the policy trajectory, correct, and see what happens. So this idea of expecting magical results.
Prof, do you want to say something before I ask my next question?
I think the important thing is for the government to find out the reasons, and government should do the right thing. You see, it doesn't have to sectionalize.
What's the right thing government should do?
The right thing that we favor all companies operating in the economy.
Okay. Now, medium and small business owners now have been complaining about what they call copyright issues. Okay. You produce a set of products, and in the next 2-3 weeks you have a resemblance of your what you want to call imitations in town, and people are beginning to get so scared of venturing into production in Nigeria. How do you think government can savage the situation?
I think there are regulations on copyright. So, I think the enforcement is what is important. But then I must quickly say that you see sometimes there's technology transfer. So sometimes you steal technology. So whichever is better to develop the economy. So what we need to do is to see how those companies that have the copyright can be fortified, and how we can encourage the others to see other lines of business and see the dangers in duplicating or manipulating the products of other companies.
Okay, quickly.
Yes, that brings me to one of the things I said at the in my first comment on this program. I said there are so many areas that may not make the policy areas in the policy statement of ease of doing business policy that was signed by the vice
credible
president.
Enough.
Yes, that may not make us achieve. I said,
achieve it.
Yes, yeah. I mentioned so many things. Among is our legal system. In my office about 3 or 4 days ago, maybe due to wrong connection or there was power surge, so many of my appliances were damaged. If I want to go to court, if I want to press charge against the BEDC, being a business entity on its own, you should look at the cost of pressing charge against them. Do we have
weigh your options?
Yes. So if I will have to go to court and do, why don't I just look for maybe some 100,000 or 200,000, buy gadgets and continue with what I'm doing? You understand? Do I have functioning insurance that will take care, and when I'm in court, the revenue losses and stuff at that time that will, yes, you understand? Do I have that? Have I even thought about that in the course of doing business? So all of this will make enforcement of that particular policy difficult. So if you are talking about imitation of product now, if you are in a developing stage of your product, and maybe you have a sample, or maybe you just introduce it to the market, somebody along the line who is a very good copycat took the design, just do a minor modification,
and that makes it even better than yours.
Yes,
probably.
And before you know it, you could source fund from here, and is in the market, and you have your own project. Product you're just developing. You may not even have money to register it. You may not, if it is a book, you may not even have money to get the ISBN. So all of this, how easy can you access them in our economy? So if it is not easy, then how easy is it for you to press charge against anybody that steals your intellectual property?
And that still boils down to the legal system.
Yes, the legal system, and the system we run as a country. We have systemic problem. That is what I keep telling people.
Okay. Professor Tomola, if you were to consult for PEBEC, what would you say should be the way forward from, everything we've said so far, for us to have a paradigm shift and begin to tell better stories in future?
I think just as we have discussed, we have to look at the economy holistically, and we have to look at, to me, there's no much concern for the small businesses. So most of the time, government policies are just on paper without serious implementation. So I think government itself has to be serious with the policy, and government should take policy from those who are concerned. The people who are targeted with that policy, rather than formulating a policy that will not have real influence on the people. So government should do critical evaluation when formulating policy to make sure that this policy, when it gets to the market, it has the desired effect.
Okay, we know because of our time, we have less than 2 minutes to go on the program.
If I have to consult for PEBEC, the first thing I would tell them to do is to make sure that they do their policy in line with what each state government each of their business policies are. This is the reason. If there is no congruence
in line with their peculiarities,
yes, if there is no congruence in each of doing business policies within the state and federal government, there cannot be holistic, there cannot be total profit or benefit from that particular policy. I'll give you just one example. If a state like Kano State will do well in the area of production of milk and all these dairy foods than that of Ekiti State. So if you want to formulate this of doing business policy in that particular field of business, that of Ekiti must be different from that of Kano.
Yeah.
That's one. Then two, they must mandate the state to make sure that they have a full-fledged register of entrepreneurs, small business that are growing within the state, visit their farm, have pictorial picture of their businesses, register them, then have that registered, and based on that, target policies.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time on the program, Professor Bamu.
I have so many of them.
Because of our time, we have to run now. Thank you very much, Prof, for coming on the program. We really appreciate you, Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye. Thank you very much for coming. Until next week.
In the last week, that would have been a very good one.
Next week, Thursday, we'll be back, God willing. Hopefully, we'll be back next week, Thursday. My name is Olabisi Olaniyi Oluwasegun. Thank you for listening.
88.9 FM, your choice station.